To adjourn the House is deemed to have been made and seconded at this time. Therefore, the question is that this House do now adjourn. The Honourable Member for Saanich, Gulf Islands.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. It's an honour to rise today on the traditional territory of the Algonquin Nation Anishinabe people, and we do so with humility and gratitude. Meegwetch. I'm rising tonight at Adjournment Proceedings to pursue a question that I originally asked in question period on March 10th of this year. It's in relation to the tailings ponds maintained by Imperial Oil. The Kearl mine is the one in question. Imperial is owned by Exxon in the United States, and this mining project has been in place for some decades. The question of the suitability of that terrain and the suitability of their plans for holding vast amounts of millions of liters of toxic effluent in those ponds was a subject of some concern in the initial environmental assessment hearings, which I attended at the time as an intervener on behalf of Sierra Club of Canada. There were many promises made in those hearings. I remember them well. Everything was going to be world-class technology. Imperial was going to be very careful to make sure that the toxic materials were maintained within containment. Of course, what I raised on March 10th in question period was that we knew now, at that point, we knew that for 9 months, the Kearl mine had been leaking toxic effluent on the lands and waters of the Athabasca Chippewa First Nation. And at the time, Imperial had been lobbying for more subsidies from Canada while failing to inform just about anyone that this was occurring. They discovered it in May of 2022, and the First Nations discovered that this had been going on for some time in January and February of this year, 2023. What's really incredible is what we've learned since then. The Environment Committee, Standing Committee on Environment and Sustainable Development, has heard from Chief Alan Adam of the Athabasca Chippewa, has heard from the Mikisew Cree, have heard from Métis, and also from the Alberta regulator. And we also know now that we're not talking about something in the past tense. Initially, media coverage said, well, this had been going on for some time. It's still going on as far as we know. The containment in the tailings ponds isn't working. In fact, the CEO of Imperial, Brad Corson, who parenthetically is now the highest paid CEO in the energy sector, his salary actually doubled last year. It's now 17-point-something million. But he testified that it was, and actually it was officials from Alberta regulator who said the correct word to use is more seep than leak. It's seeping out through the sides. And the approach that Imperial Oil is taking to this seeping of toxic effluent is to try to capture it through piping and return it to the place where it's leaking. When I asked when was the Government of Canada going to get tough on these corporate criminals, the response from the Honourable Parliamentary Secretary, the Honourable Member for Winnipeg South, was that the thoughts of the government are with the families and the well-being of the Athabasca Chippewa First Nation and other affected communities, that the Minister of Environment was looking out at reaching out to the Alberta government and these First Nations and saying that, well, we want to better understand the situation. Well, we better understand it all right now. The late Dr. David Schindler testified on May 12, 2009 to the Parliamentary Committee that there was enough evidence to charge Imperial with violations of the Fisheries Act then. What are we waiting for?
The Honourable Parliament.